Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of Let's Chat with Derick. I'm your host, Derick Fage, and I am really pleased to introduce our guest this week. We have forged a wonderful friendship over the last, I think it goes back about 10 years now. We met through an organization called Live Work Play that I did some hosting and some live auctioneering with, and we've been supporting each other as we both have been living with incontinence for many years, myself since birth. But I'll let Jen tell her own story. She has an incredible story to share with you. Jennifer Harris, author and advocate for people with disabilities, joins me on today's show. Jen, how are you?
I'm fine. Looking forward to this very much.
Excellent. Well, I should reference to everybody that we actually have your autobiography in front of both of us. You have just penned your autobiography, so we may use that as a
Yes.
bit of a reference if anyone's wondering why the two of us may be looking aside and reading a little bit. So, Jen, let's start with your childhood because that's exactly where your autobiography starts with. Tell me a little bit about your birth and the story that you've shared in your autobiography.
Okay. My mom had serious stomach cramps when I was before I was born, and then at birth, I think shortly after that, I had a lung collapse, and yeah, and basically that means that I had some other complications that I really don't know about. But um, basically
Well,
that.
we both went through that, right, Jen? Because I was born with a birth defect myself, so I didn't understand it, of course, until I got a little bit older, and it was really our parents that lived through some of
Yeah,
our early
exactly.
struggles. So your
Yes,
struggles
it
didn't
is.
stop there, Jen. You were really underweight. Your
Yes,
mom was given a
my
chart, as I
parents.
understand.
Yeah, they had to put a chart, give me a chart to like make sure that I was getting fed at regular intervals, and yeah, I'm
So you were
imagining it was really scary for my parents.
right. You were born in Newfoundland, as I understand it. So how did you
Yes, I
come to live
am.
in Ottawa?
Uh, I was 2 months after I was born. Uh, my parents had the idea that we would live in Ottawa, and me not knowing any different because I was 2 months old, we went to home. I mean, we went to Canada. Yes,
And
yes.
that's where you started school. What was the school experience like for you at Glencairn?
Uh, it was really nice. I was in the choir, and it was a really wonderful choir. Like I was welcome for who I was, and I really enjoyed it.
You had a talent for music, right? Your mom discovered
Yes,
this early. Tell me about your talent for music.
I play the piano, and I have what's called perfect pitch. That means, sorry, that means that if you play any note on the piano, I can tell you exactly what it is.
That's an amazing talent. I have no music ability whatsoever, so I have the greatest respect for you. As I understand it too, you'd be sitting beside your mom, and as she played, if she made a mistake, you'd used to bite her. Is that a true story?
Yes, apparently, yes.
Why? Why
Well,
did you
we'll leave
bite
it
her?
now. We're best friends. We're best friends now. So, like, she doesn't hold any remorse to me.
I understand. So then back in 1986, I believe you were only 8 years old and you won first place with
Yes,
your
in
with
a
your
festival.
piano.
Yes, playing uh, Rondo and G by a composer I don't even remember, but I can still remember the piece.
And then
Yeah, it
your
was
mom was
really
your
nice.
first piano
Piano
teacher,
teacher.
right, Jen?
Yes, she was. And then I went to someone named Maria. I don't really remember a lot of that, but I'm glad she was there and like made me started my musical journey.
So I'm going to quote your autobiography here because this sentence made me laugh out loud. Here's the sentence about a couple of interesting things that came into your life. You say, but not all was peace and love in Canada. In 1983 and in 1985, two horrible things happened that would shatter my life forever. What
My
were those two
brothers.
things?
Actually, I have to preface saying that my brother my brother Daniel helped me do my biography. So my brother helped me do it. So like my brother Daniel was born in 1983 and my brother Tim was born in 1985.
So tell me about your relationship with your brothers.
We have a very close relationship. And yeah, my brother Daniel works at Liverpool Play, as you know, and my brother Tim now works in Japan, but he's going to be moving back to Ottawa. He teaches science and math, or two subjects that I didn't do well in school. So I don't know how he does it, but he does it.
You must be
Yep.
excited to have him coming back. When is he expected back?
Uh, in we hope June. We hope.
Oh,
We
excellent.
hope. But we
Yeah,
don't know
with
because
everything that's going on.
yeah, everything that's going on is just crazy, crazy.
Very different personalities, your two brothers. Daniel, as I understand it, was more of the troublemaker, and Tim was more of the quiet one. Tell me a little bit about what your
Yes.
childhood was like with these two.
Uh, it, like I really enjoyed my childhood. My brothers were very supportive. I was more close to Daniel, I should say, in beginning my life, and I didn't really know Tim because we weren't as close. No, in age, I think it was. We weren't really in close as age.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
but
then at 9 years
after
old, you moved to British Columbia. What brought you to British
yes,
Columbia?
my dad changed his job. My dad transferred jobs, and I
Did
didn't
that was
even.
that difficult on you, Jen? Just to you've forged
I
friendships and you.
I don't really remember, so we could say whatever we want. I don't really remember that, so
I understand. But you met some
because
great
I
friends.
was
You met your friend Shannon in BC, who you became very
yes,
close to. You were
yes,
quite inseparable. Tell me about that
yep.
relationship.
Um, she lived right next, down the street from me. She and like we would go like wherever, like we were. I don't think we were ever in the same class at school, but we were close. I'm I'm trying to think. We might have been in the same grade 6 class, but I'm trying to think. Were we? Not exactly sure about that one, but we even went to camp together, and we won the best friends award. We did like everything together.
That's all. You won the Best Friends Award. That's fantastic.
Yes, 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 it
Let's
was
move on
awesome.
to uh, Goulburn Middle School. You were there from, as I understand it, you were there from grades 6 to 8. Do you have any
Yes.
recollection of any close friends there?
Um, I had my friend, uh, Julie Smythe, who, um, yeah, she was my closest friend there, and and I had my friend Bronwyn. We went, we did like musicals together, but we were not in the same program. She was in French, I was in English. We did the musicals together. We played we played in the band together. And we even went trick or treating together. That was fun.
That's awesome. And then you got into sort of a like a semi band. Was this sort of a band outside of school?
No, it was the band with like a band made up one of the best musicians, dedicated musicians. Actually, I almost didn't get it into band. Because I had to try out because they didn't think I could play the flute. I played the flute,
Yeah, you were in a
and
flute quartet, I believe.
yes, I was, and and I even had to take lessons at Dominic's to prove that
Oh
I could
yes, I
do
know
it.
Dominic's. Yeah.
Yeah,
Then you moved on after middle school. You went to South Carlton High School. What was the high school
yes.
experience like for you, Jen?
Um, I had um, I had a friends named Jen Craig and Candy, and Jen Craig and I were like best friends. She also has cerebral palsy, a bit more severe than me, but but we even went to camp together. We went to Camp Maywood. It's an Easter Seals camp on the Big Rideau, and like we did like a lot of stuff. And I was welcome for who I was. That was amazing. Yes.
No, I can
Like
imagine.
I didn't have to worry about. Sorry, Derek.
No, no, that's okay. I was just going to say you mentioned cerebral palsy, so let's talk about that. For people that don't understand what cerebral palsy is, perhaps you could just explain it for us.
Um, it's it's a disability that impairs motor function and control. Yes.
I see. And I mentioned off the top, Jen, that you and I have sort of shared this kind of mini support group that we have with each other because we both live with
Yes.
incontinence. So, on top of your cerebral palsy, you also live with incontinence. What's that challenge been like for you?
Huh. Uh, it's been interesting. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. It's difficult just getting out. I know in well, in particular during a pandemic, right? But when you
Yeah,
live with
exactly.
incontinence, I imagine you've had some difficult times. Has that restricted you from doing some of the things you're passionate about?
I don't think so. And thank you for your help all these years, Derek. I wouldn't have been able to be as
Well,
confident as I am.
It goes both ways, Jen. I thank you so much because you and I think we probably send a Facebook message back and forth about once a week over the last little while, and it's been very helpful for me as well.
It's been helpful for me too. Like, it doesn't, it's, sorry. You mean a lot to me, just to let you
Oh,
know.
same goes here,
In case
Jen.
you
Thank you for
didn't
saying
know.
so.
And in case you didn't know, yeah,
Uh,
I've been really looking forward to this.
yeah, me too, Jen. Let's go move into after school. You graduate from high school. Take it from there. Where do you find yourself?
Uh, I really had a hard time graduating from high school. Because like everybody seemed to know what they were doing, but I had a disability. I had no idea, right? Because like there was no like manual saying like if you have a disability and you graduate from high school, like
Right.
yeah, and like because but I did find I did find uh I did find some volunteer work at the Goulburn Stittsville Library, excuse me, Stittsville Public Library.
Right.
And yeah, and I really felt welcome. And I was even on the spare list. Like
Excellent.
if people couldn't come in for any reason, they just call me and like my parents would drive me and I was there. Actually, yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. Actually, I
Well, then
remember like five, five or 6 years ago, I went with one of my workers from the book play, and we tried to get me another volunteer opportunity at the library because I really enjoyed it so much. But it didn't happen because I don't know. Yeah, well, because the library was moving on to like online things.
Jen, is it difficult? Has it been difficult to find work, even if it's volunteer work?
Yes, it has. I
Tell me about that.
because I don't like it's been really hard because not sure because I have anxiety and I've had it since I was little. And like because like I know I could do it, but there's something in the back of my mind saying, I don't know. I don't know. Like, it's always been difficult for me. And I know I have things to contribute, Derek. I
Uh,
know.
yeah.
You've taught me that. You've taught me that. So
Well,
thank you.
I think you've had a lot of people in your life, including your wonderful family, that have taught you that and many things. And I mentioned off the top, Jen, that we met through a fantastic organization called Live Work Play. I'd like to talk a little bit about that organization and what it's meant for you.
Okay. I was a member of Live Play since 1998. Um, I was like a participant in the organization. Um, it helped me forge friendships because it's very hard to forge friendship when you live with social anxiety and all the rest of it. And I don't always feel comfortable going out, without some support. And yeah, yes, it's been really helpful for me.
Yeah, it's an organization that helps people find work. It helps with socializing, just navigating through many different things. Jen, I want to talk about socializing, and you mentioned a sense of anxiety when it comes to work. Is there also been a sense of anxiety when it comes to socializing?
Yes, Derek. Yes, I don't know why. I like people, but I'm kind of afraid of it. I don't know why, but I've had, and I feel like the pandemic is almost easier for me because I do these Zoom chats and I can manage my anxiety better. Yeah,
Well, one thing you
it's
mentioned
kind
in
of
your
weird.
autobiography is that one of the scary things you did through live work play for yourself was the housing project. Over 2 summers, as I understand it, you stayed in the Carleton University dorms with other members from live work play. What was that
Yes, it
experience like,
was
Jen?
yes, I loved it. Um, um, One of the most challenging things is having people to hang out with in the evenings, and that was really really nice. And because like I got to I got to be with my friends, and yeah, and
Another, sorry, go ahead, Jen.
yeah. Um, I don't know. It was
That's
very
okay.
good.
I was going to mention that you're an advocate, and I believe you're starting to get your voice, and you've talked to me about this. Is that you want to make a difference, and the advocacy
Yeah,
work that you've done with OC Transpo, Paratranspo, is something I'd like to talk about. It was that sort of introduced when you volunteered at OC Transpo
yeah.
in the Lost and Found. Was that kind of the
No,
beginning?
no. It had nothing to do with that.
Okay.
Paratrans, para, sorry. Paratranspo is the transportation service for people with disabilities. It has lots of problems. You have to call to get a booking the day before. You can't always get a booking, and you have to wait half an hour. You have to give them an hour window to get to their from when you do it. So if if I had a booking for 3 o'clock, I would have to start waiting at 2:30. Be ready. Yeah, and they don't tell you when they're gonna come, which is really challenging. And I want that to
Absolutely.
improve.
So, Jen, tell
Yes.
me a little bit about how you've tried to navigate and speak to people to figure out how to make this work better. Has anybody been even listening to you at Paratranspo?
Oh, I went to a consultation in 2015 with my support worker Caitlin from Level Play. But I don't know that they even heard me. It's so frustrating. When you want to
Yeah,
be an advocate, when you want to be an advocate, I don't want it to be fall on deaf ears there, Derek. I
yeah, I
don't want
understand
that. Because I
completely.
want when
Jen, tell
when
me.
you
Sorry, go ahead.
when you were advocating, did you always find that did you ever find that people weren't listening?
Oh, most certainly, Jen. I mean, I think we've seen it in so many things. You mentioned, of course, people with disabilities. We've seen it in the mental health field. A lot of
Oh
difficult
yeah.
times having that. You and I have a friend, Cynthia Bland, who started an organization, a foundation
Yes.
called Voice Found that talks about childhood sexual abuse. These are all taboo subjects
Yeah,
that it's difficult
exactly.
for. Yeah, it's difficult for us to get a message across, incontinence and things like this. Sometimes people don't want to hear it.
Yeah, but it's important because disabilities are natural. Like,
Exactly.
yeah, and like,
Jen, let's talk about,
yeah.
before I run out of time, I've got about 3 minutes left here. I wanted to talk about the pandemic and the effect the pandemic has had on yourself. Has things become more challenging for you in any way?
Um, I got myself a job at Main Street Community Services, and now that's been shut down because of the pandemic. I really enjoyed that because I was helping teach yoga. I was helping teach um cooking. I was helping like clean up the place, and I really enjoyed it. And people, and even the members of the place were like asking me when I could come back. It was wonderful. And now I don't do any of it because pandemic.
Yeah, and I imagine socializing isn't the same. I know you probably get together on Zoom and do
Yes,
chats and
exactly.
connect with people, but it's not the same
But
as person to
but
person.
I as I was saying, I actually enjoy it better because of my social anxiety.
Right.
Because I don't know. Yeah, yeah.
So, last question for you, Jen. You decided to pen your autobiography. What was the reason behind that? What was your inspiration?
Um, I've always wanted to do it, and I've always wanted to do it, and like I want to make change because, as being a person with incontinence, like the system is not great, and I want to affect change.
Do you plan on selling your autobiography, Jen? Like we're going to see it in
No,
bookstores. What are your plans?
cool, but I can't because I can't make an income because I'm on ODSP. They
Right.
call back income, any other income, and like it's gonna mess my ODSP up. And like that's another kettle of fish that I want to change.
Yeah, no kidding. Jen, I can't thank you enough for spending time with me. This is an interview I've been looking forward
Oh,
to for quite some time, and I really
so
appreciate you
about it.
taking the time.
Yep. Yeah, it was great. Thank you so much for doing
Thank you
this
very
for me.
much, Jen. Really appreciate it. This has been another episode of Let's Chat with Derick. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.